Good to be with you again as we observe in the Catholic community the 30th Sunday in Ordinary Time. At St. Barbara's, we have the custom at the Sunday closest to the feast of St. John Paul II the Great, which is on October 22nd officially on the church calendar, to observe and to celebrate his life and his powerful presence in our Catholic community. As people of Polish background, we're very proud of the work and the effort, you might say ministry, of John Paul II. But we can't forget in October, we have such a wonderful, you might say, observance of a number of saints. We have John the 23rd, which we celebrate on October 11th, the beginning of the Second Vatican Council. We also celebrate just on the 19th of October the feast day of Blessed Jerzy Popoluszko. Some of you may not know his name as well as John the 23rd or Pope John Paul II, but Jerzy Popoluszko was a priest who served as a chaplain in the Solidarity movement. He was coming back from Mass with his driver, and there was an unfortunate accident on the road, and he was taken by some thugs, probably communists, and thrown in a reservoir where his body was found a few days later. It was a very sad kind of martyrdom for this young priest who was enthusiastic about solidarity and being a chaplain, bringing them the faith, bringing them Mass, bringing them the sacraments amidst their concern for social justice that they had. As I said, we celebrate John Paul II in a very special way in all of these priests and bishops. Our readings say something very beautiful. There's the reading from the letter to the Hebrews, and in it we hear these words: "Every high priest is taken from among men and made their representative before God to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. He is able to deal patiently with the ignorant and erring, for he himself is beset by weakness, and so for this reason must make sin offerings for himself as well as for the people. No one takes this honor upon himself, but only when called by God." Very important words. No one takes this honor upon himself, but only when called by God. The priesthood, the order of bishops, the order in the church from which we select or elect a pope, in a very real way are reminders that these are not some things that we obtain for ourselves. There's a reality here in each sacrament. And going back to baptism, for every Christian, even the sacrament of baptism is part of the call of God to each of us to use our lives for the service of God's people. And that is embodied in a very beautiful way in the life of a holy bishop or a holy pope. Now, in the history of the church, you would have to be ignorant totally not to realize that not all popes and not all bishops, not all priests exemplify to a great degree this kind of holiness and dedication. That in truth, the order of priesthood, the order of the episcopacy, and even those who rise to the rank of pope are stained by their weaknesses and sins, and we have to overcome them. All the popes have made a very important, you might say, statement by themselves being publicly going to confession, like other Christians, that they need the sacrament of forgiveness and peace, as well as being the ministers of that sacrament. They need the ministry of others, even the Pope. in a sense, cannot have his own confession to himself and absolve himself. Sounds sort of strange, but I think there's some people that may think that, No, the Pope, the bishop, has to go to another priest or the bishop to receive the sacrament. Actually, any priest can hear a sacrament, even of the Pope. If he were to come to me, I'd have to hear his confession. I would be privileged but also humbled by such a thing. But as we celebrate these great men, and especially John Paul II, we are reminded that they came at a certain time in history. They came into a certain situation of the church. They came with their weaknesses and their faults, and they struggled, like all of us, to live out our Christian faith amidst the difficulties they had. And in a marvelous way, they indicated a triumph of the Spirit of God and of Christ's love in the world. So we give thanks to God for these marvelous witnesses and pray that we too will make our effort to follow in the way of Jesus, as did the blind man who was healed, and he followed the way of Jesus from then on. God bless you.